Fully wireless, metal, split, ergo. Sounds great, right? The Unigo 66 is all of those, and it's also fully broken. The designer had a dream of creating a premium ergonomic board using Logitech's proven wireless technology. But wake up to find that transplanting harvested chips and not even including a backup wired option is just a gross display of arrogance. The packaging and accessories is one area the Unigo 66 excels at. The custom box is really nice, and the keyboards come affixed to a display stand. The stand isn't something where you put the boards away after each use because you need a screwdriver for it, but that doesn't matter. It being a secure connection is actually a plus because on display is the only place this board will ever be. The design of the Unigo 66 is pretty cool. The high-profile case has a purposeful side seam with a stylistic corner element. An angle is provided by these feet that are probably one of the coolest I've seen on a board. The bottom has a large frosted polycarbonate window to let the wireless signal through. Ergonomic keyboards very obviously put function over form, so it's cool to see something that tries to make the best around this layout. The case is 3 pieces per side, the top, bottom, and the window. The top integrates a plate, so some amount of assembly complexity is avoided. Being a hot swap keyboard, there are mounting holes to affix the PCB to the plate. In other keyboards I leave these out, but due to the size and the integrated plate, I assumed it couldn't get much harsher, so I put them on. This PCB is where all the magic doesn't happen. This isn't like other keyboard PCBs because it's wireless. But wait, you might say, I've seen other wireless keyboards before. What's so special about this? Well, when I say this is wireless, I mean wireless. You know how most existing wireless keyboards have an option to use it wired? This doesn't. Even if you wanted to use a cable, you can't. This wouldn't be a problem if the wireless performance wasn't utter garbage, but more on that later. Each half is powered by a coin cell battery, a little unusual to use non-rechargeables, but if it could reach the acclaimed 6 months of life, it would be an elegant solution. So let's talk about those problems. When I first got it, it was in a somewhat usable state. The dongle of dongles could pick up the signal, and I was able to flash a new layout. I quickly ran into integrity issues though. When I plugged it into the rear I/O of my computer, the halves would often hang and get the order of the keystrokes all mixed up. Even when working all right, there would be up to a 1-second delay between pressing the key and a code being registered. This was more or less resolved when I got the mega dongle closer to the keyboards, maybe less than a foot. This did raise questions of the actual advantage of it being wireless if I needed to have a dongle in my line of sight at all times. Next issue was when I brought it to work. For whatever reason, I didn't test that all keys work and only discovered that 2 positions are dead after trying to type a /. I ran a couple of continuity checks and it doesn't seem like the issue is with the switch or the sockets. I think I need to try reflowing the chip, but I don't really know how to do that. In the process of diagnosing this, I flashed the default layout and cleared the EEPROM, and it might have been coincidence, but the boards were all but bricked afterwards. The right side was entirely unresponsive, and the left side would output a jumbled mess of key codes that resembled a shorting PCB. I checked the voltages on the batteries to discover that the right side was completely dead at 1.2 volts, while the left was in a supposedly acceptable range at 2.7 volts. Even after I put in a fresh set of batteries, these are not cheap by the way, $20 for 4 at my local Walgreens, the problem persisted. This seems to be the same category of issue that another user on the Discord channel ran into. No idea if they ever got it resolved. Because of the other problems, I didn't have a chance to test battery life, but the Discord had some people claiming less than a week of life if they didn't manually switch the boards off after every use. You don't really have to do this with any other wireless device out there, and the off switch being inconveniently located between keys just adds insult to injury. On the issue of dongles, we have a PCB with 2 USB ports each containing a Logitech unifying receiver. The Atmega32U4 is actually located on the dongle itself rather than either of the halves, so you actually program the dongle, not the keyboards. There must be some kind of intermediary translation layer here. There's been reports of this getting pretty hot, and I can confirm that. It's hot enough that I wouldn't want to leave it plugged in for long. So for $400 shipped, I'm left with a bricked board that I can't use in any capacity. Even if someone were to design a replacement PCB for this, they would need to figure out some way to route cables, and even if it was a wireless design, it would be limited to that coin cell due to an absolute lack of space under the PCB. At least in my experience, wireless keyboards designed by hobbyists have been riddled with problems of impracticality and unreliability. When I saw the pitch with Logitech's proven technology, I assumed it would be a plus, but clearly there's more to designing wireless systems than the chip itself. So now, when I buy a wireless keyboard, I make sure to check that there is a backup wired connection option, because in the hobby, when something like this goes wrong, nobody will help you. I think my next step with this is going to be to hand wire it with the brains hanging out on the outside. Seems like it'll be pretty involved, so who knows when I'll get to it. But it's a real shame that the Unigo 66 couldn't work out. If any of you are planning to make a replacement PCB for it, please let me know.